You have a great look, and just you're an artwork, so I'm appreciating that.
Oh, thank you so much. I love talking to women filmmakers. It's totally my jam. It's my thing that I love most about doing interviews. And I noticed that for this particular one, you're dealing with love from 3 different vantage points, right? And you're dealing with it with all these women of a certain age. And we don't get to see that on screen very often. There's like this Hollywood thing that people think, women have shriveled up and died once they turn 30 or 40. So I just want, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to know what made you want to delve into love from these 3 different angles, from these 3 different stories and these 3 different types of women, or not 3 different types of women, but this large group and body of women.
Well, I'm in that group, and so
me too. Truth be told.
Oh no, you look like you're 30, so you're not there yet.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think we of a certain age are an underserved audience on the screen. We don't see enough of images that reflect our real lives. That it's that in this particular case, there are no men heroes in these 3 sections of film. And I think that was sort of shocking to the people that want to fund a film that doesn't have some car chases and some, machine guns and explosions, and, or somebody doesn't die of cancer or murder. It's really focused on positive experiences, which are complicated, of course, like life is, but it's I think coming from a female perspective, and we just, as you say, don't see enough of that on the screen.
No, we don't. And you know what else we don't see on screen that we're starting to see a little bit more of these days is the conversation about Black women. There's that one line that Valerie Pettiford, who's a really dear friend of mine.
She's great.
She is. We have a background on Broadway, both of us.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but she has that one line where she talks about getting to know Claire and having that uncomfortable conversation about what it's like to be a Black woman and how that affects her. And I found since the Black Lives Matter movement started, that's a conversation that I myself have had to have with numerous friends, and it is uncomfortable. And I'm wondering if an experience that you had made you put that into the film, made you, acknowledge that line in the film, because I would have loved to have heard more about that conversation.
Yes, I had a really memorable experience on an airplane with a woman sitting next to me, and she was half Korean and half Black, and she was so accomplished and so stunning. And I just, I realized how few people in my life, because I live in a rural area where there are white and Hispanic, but hardly any people of other colors. And I was so enthralled with her and the issues that she faced in her life that I really wanted to include some form of that at the table.
I appreciated that. I really did. I was like, oh, are we about to go there? Oh, dang, we're not. That's why I asked that. I was like, I really, really wanted to know about that.
Yeah, I would have liked to have, excuse me.
You had to give everybody equal weight. I totally get it. So that everybody could have that moment where they discussed how they met Claire and what she meant to them. I totally get that. But I just had to ask.
I could have spent all day with Valerie on that subject. And, and the other subjects that were important to me, Sybil Shepherd speaks about abortion, and different people speak about issues that, I've had several friends whose husbands, after a long marriage, left them for their boyfriend. And some of these different issues that I could only touch on at the table, but they're profound and they have long-ranging effects on women's lives. So
they absolutely do. They absolutely do. And I'm glad that you addressed it. As short as that was, I'm glad you addressed it. I also loved the very first vignette of the husband and wife having the Skype dinner.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me life. I was like, okay, Eleanor, jumping into the 21st century. Okay, I see you.
Well, it's funny because I made that piece before COVID. The origin of that first piece was I was interviewing an actor in Canada over Skype, and we were talking and trying to get to know each other. And he was telling me about his friend there who was having Skype dates with his wife every week, every Friday night. And I just thought that was such an intriguing idea that I made that piece kind of in that, because I understand, of course, how people feel, and I'm sure you do too. You go away on a long vacation, you go on some project, and you're apart, and how to keep that
I know
alive.
Well, you gave me some ideas. I was taking notes. I'm like, okay, I could do this. I could do this. I'm not in a relationship, but it's coming. And when it does, at least I'll have some notes on how to make, keep it fresh and alive.
That's funny.
There's also a line where I forget who says it. Just keep living like you're dancing. And I feel like that's what you do, because you are someone who, you went from docs to features. Now this is your second feature, right?
Right.
And you are of a certain age, and I love the fact that you're like, yeah, I might be a little older, but I'm not dead, so I'm gonna live my life until they say I can't. I love that. I love that. What made you jump into the directing game at such a late age, as opposed to early on?
But I had a health issue in my early 70s, and I thought, gee, I might not live forever. What do I want to do? Well, I still can. And I had a trip in France with a Frenchman, a business associate of my husband, and we had a really interesting time. And I was telling this story to my girlfriend, and she said, that's the movie I want to see. And just a light bulb went off. I started to write a script, and I did. And then I started to look for a director. And then one morning at the breakfast table, my husband said, well, you should direct. And I was startled. I had no idea. I never thought of that in my life. But I took some directing classes and some acting classes and prepared myself as well as I could. And since it took 6 years to raise the funding, which I think is another lesson for women, to not give up, just to really, if it feels right to you in your heart, you're authentically engaged in it, it's your passion, just keep going toward it and finding some way. And when one door closes, go to another. Just keep it alive. And so anyway, I ended up making that film, and it was such a good experience ultimately.
This is a good lesson for people that will be watching and listening to this, because I think everybody thinks that they have to go to a major studio, or that they have to have all this money from some corporate entity to get what they need to have accomplished. And if the pandemic has taught any of us anything, it's taught us that you can get anything done. You can shoot a whole film on your cell phone. You don't need,
totally.
So I'm so glad you said what you said, because people need to hear that. They need to hear it. And I'm really glad that they're hearing it from you. Once this has this release, what is it that you want people to take away from watching this film?
Well, I hope that they'll see something they've experienced in life, some aspect of something they've experienced reflected on the screen, that, we have so much of the unreal around on the screen. This is not Dune. This is not science fiction. This is not a spy thriller or a horror film. It's because I think I'm this natural documentary person. It's much more of kind of a fictional documentary of real life experiences. And I hope that other people find some resonance with their own lives in what they find on the screen.
I'm hoping that it is received with all the love and energy and spirit in which you have put into it. And it's been my immense pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my deep pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for your interest. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.